This is the story of a $2 billion company that changed its name not once, not twice, but 3 times, all because its employees opened fire on innocent civilians in one of the most notorious massacres of the Iraq War. The company was called Blackwater, and no matter how many times it rebranded, that name never stopped following it. On December 26, 1996, a former Navy SEAL named Erik Prince founded a private military company in Moyock, North Carolina. He called it Blackwater USA, named after the dark, peat-colored water found in the Great Dismal Swamp near the company's training grounds. Prince had just come into serious money. His father, Edgar Prince, had died the year before, and the family sold their auto parts company to Johnson Controls for $1.35 billion. Erik took his inheritance, moved to Virginia Beach, and personally financed what would become the most powerful Pentagon contractor and private military company on the planet. Blackwater started small, but it exploded in size. By 2002, the company had locked in a $5.4 million contract with the CIA to provide security for their station in Kabul, Afghanistan. By mid-2003, Blackwater was operating in Iraq under the State Department's Worldwide Personal Protective Services contract, and at its peak, the company was pulling in roughly $2 billion in U.S. government contracts. They operated everywhere, guarding diplomats, protecting officials, operating in war zones where the line between soldier and contractor was deliberately blurred. But here's the thing about operating in the shadows of war. Eventually, something goes wrong, and when it does, the whole world watches. March 31st, 2004 was the first time most Americans heard the name Blackwater. 4 of the company's contractors, Jerry Zovko, Scott Helvenston, Wesley Batalona, and Michael Teague, were ambushed and killed in Fallujah, Iraq. Their bodies were mutilated, burned, and hung from a bridge over the Euphrates River. The images were broadcast around the world. It was horrific, and it put Blackwater on the map in a way no one at the company wanted. But that was only the beginning. September 16th, 2007, just before noon, a car bomb exploded near the Izdihar compound in Baghdad, where American and Iraqi officials were meeting. A 19-man Blackwater tactical support team, answering to the call sign Raven 23, was dispatched to secure an evacuation route. They rolled into Nisour Square, a busy traffic circle next to the Green Zone, in a convoy of 4 armored trucks. What made this incident particularly significant was that contractors operated under Order 17 of the Coalition Provisional Authority, which granted them immunity from Iraqi law. What happened next would become one of the defining atrocities of the entire Iraq War. In direct defiance of an order from Blackwater's own command, the team's shift leader directed Raven 23 to establish a blockade in the square. Traffic was flowing. Civilians were going about their day, and then the shooting started. The first person killed was Ahmed Haytham Ahmed al-Rubiai. He was 21 years old, an aspiring doctor driving his mother to a medical appointment. A Blackwater contractor shot him once in the head. His car, a white Kia sedan, continued to roll forward after he died. So, Raven 23 kept firing. They killed his mother too. Then they hit the car with a grenade. It was incinerated, and they didn't stop there. For 20 minutes, Blackwater guards unleashed sniper fire, machine guns, and grenade launchers into the crowded square. When the shooting finally ended, 17 Iraqi civilians were dead, and men, 2 women, 2 boys. One of those boys was 9 years old. His name was Ali Kanani. 20 more civilians were wounded. Blackwater's official position was that the convoy had been ambushed. Vice President Marty Strong claimed they were hit with a large explosive device and repeated small arms fire. But eyewitnesses told a completely different story. and so did American investigators. There was no ambush, there was no incoming fire. And according to the New York Times, at least one member of the Blackwater team continued shooting even as his own colleagues screamed at him to cease fire. The fallout was immediate and devastating. Iraq's government was furious. The American public was outraged. House Oversight Committee Chairman Henry Waxman led congressional hearings, and in December of 2008, 5 Blackwater guards were indicted on federal charges under the Military Extraterritorial Jurisdiction Act, which allows prosecution of contractors for crimes committed overseas. And then came the rebrand. In February of 2009, just 2 months after the indictments, Blackwater quietly changed its name to Z Services. That's XE, not a word, not a reference to anything meaningful. Just 2 letters designed to be as forgettable as possible. Spokeswoman Ann Tyrrell acknowledged the Iraq controversies had played a role. She said, "It's not a direct result of a loss of contract in Iraq, but certainly, that's an aspect of our work that we feel we were defined by." Erik Prince resigned as Chief Executive Officer the following month. But Z Services didn't last long either. In 2010, the company was sold to a private investment group called USTC Holdings, and in December of 2011, they changed the name again, this time to Academi. When the new CEO, Ted Wright, was asked about the rebrand, he was remarkably honest about the strategy. He said the goal was to appear more boring. He said their customers didn't want to read about the company in the press, at least not in a negative fashion. So boring was the goal. Boring. That was the corporate strategy for a company whose employees had massacred civilians in a traffic circle. In 2014, the legal saga finally reached its conclusion. Sort of. Nicholas Slatton was found guilty of first-degree murder. Paul Slough was convicted on 13 counts of voluntary manslaughter, 17 counts of attempted manslaughter, and a firearms offense. Evan Liberty and Dustin Hurd were also convicted. A 5th guard, Jeremy Ridgway, had already pleaded guilty to manslaughter before the trial. U.S. Attorney Ronald Machin called the verdict a resounding affirmation of the rule of law. Slatton was sentenced to life in prison. The others received 30-year sentences. For the families of the victims, it was a measure of justice that had taken 7 years to arrive. That same year, Academi merged with a rival contractor called Triple Canopy to form the Constellis Group. Another name, another layer of corporate camouflage. Today, Constellis operates in over 50 countries with around 14,000 employees. But the story doesn't end there. On December 22, 2020, President Donald Trump pardoned all 4 convicted Blackwater guards, every single one of them. The response was immediate. Hassan Salman, a shooting survivor in Baghdad, said, "Today we were surprised that the American president issued a decision to pardon these criminals, murderers, and thugs. The United Nations called it an affront to justice. Human Rights Watch said the pardons showed contempt for the rule of law." And then a photograph began circulating online. A smiling 9-year-old boy, Ali Kanani, the child killed in Nisour Square. His father told the BBC that Trump broke his life again. Here's another detail that matters. Erik Prince is the brother of Betsy DeVos, who served as Trump's Secretary of Education. As of 2025, Constellis, the company that used to be Academi, that used to be Gezi, that used to be Blackwater, secured a contract with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement to help track down 1.5 million targeted immigrants across the country. The company says it has no relationship with Erik Prince. Prince, for his part, has moved on to new ventures, including a deal with the Democratic Republic of Congo to secure and tax its mineral wealth. But here's the thing that makes this whole story almost absurd. Despite 3 name changes, new management, and new ownership, the company is still referred to as Blackwater. That's what people call it. That's what journalists write. That's the name that stuck. You can change the logo. You can change the letterhead. You can even try to make yourself boring. But you cannot rebrand a massacre. Some names, no matter how hard you try to bury them, refuse to stay underground.